What is up, guys? Welcome back to the channel. So we're going to continue working on 57. On our last episode, we got our wheels and tires on. We got our front end on. We're going to try to get this seat mounted in here. Also, we're going to try to get some of our wiring done. We're going to get our headlights and taillights on. We have something cool planned for that, so we'll show you that in a minute. Let's get started. All right, guys, I have the seat back out of here. I have my power washer out. Give this thing a nice little clean up real quick. The outside and a little bit in the cab. I'm going to try to avoid getting my wires and stuff. Still kind of dirty in here. I keep cleaning this thing, but dirt just keeps popping up. Well, the seat is out. I'm going to get this guy cleaned up as well. So we'll hit that guy with some soap, hit it with the power washer. We'll let it dry out. Should be good to start making some brackets. We got the 57 cleaned inside and out. Over here we have our seat drying, so it's just flipped over right now, letting it drain. Let her dry overnight, but she's still dripping. We'll let that continue to do what it does, but in the meantime we're gonna start figuring out where we can build some brackets off of. Don't mind the cinder blocks, those are just kind of keeping me at the height that I like for the seat. So we're gonna have to cut some of this fabric back, make a hole right here, weld a bar down, and probably make a little mounting plate for bolts to go through. Yeah, so we'll figure it out. We gotta cut some of the seat up and make a little bracket right here, and then we'll figure out something on the rear as well. We got both of our rods made and our brackets on the bottom. Those guys are bolted in currently, nice and tight. Now we just gotta get these guys welded without catching our seat on fire. So these brackets are all welded and painted up. And over here on this back bracket, so I ended up putting this piece of square tubing on here and welding it. Got that guy painted, and I have a hole drilled on the back side, which I'm gonna drill a hole into the floor and just run a riv nut for the back right there. Over here I got this other leg chopped off, and I just need to put the seat back in there and see where I can mount that back to the rear. This is the only mount we have left. We'll throw her back in right now, get her bolted back down, and figure out where to mount that last bracket, and then our seat will be done. All right, guys, seat is back in, and the bracket's lined up perfect. Here's this bracket that I chopped, so I'm gonna flip this guy around backwards, and I'm gonna run it over here on the back. We'll run another riv nut down on the floor down there, and then I'll bring this guy over like this. I'll just weld that bracket straight onto the seat bracket right there. Seat is bolted and turned out pretty good. Got this guy fully welded and painted, so everything's all painted up, everything's bolted in. I'm happy with it. I just need to get some seat belts for this, but that's a later problem. Now that we have our seat done for the truck, it's time to hop over here. We have our lighting for the truck. So to start off with, we have our new headlights. These are our 7-inch headlights that we got from Speedway Motors. It did have a halogen bulb in it, but this is a glass housing with an H4 bulb. It came with these H4 wiring pigtails. Ran us $50 for the pair. We're not going to be needing that halogen bulb anyways. We have some LED H4s right here that we got off Amazon. There's the brand. Those guys ran us $47, and this is the same combo I have in my C10, which works really good. So over here we have some spotlights. This is also an Amazon special. These were $32. So these guys can be either yellow or white light, or a combination of both. Those guys will be pretty nice somewhere in the front. Last but not least, we have our rough country chase lights right here. So these guys are pretty sick. They have a lot of different functions. They have a running light, a brake light, they have an amber light, and also they have like a reverse style light, and they have a license plate light on the side. So there's a lot going on there. These guys ran us $60 a piece, which honestly isn't too bad for the quality of this. This is a really nice light. So we got 3 of them. So 2 for our tail lights, and then 1 for our third brake light that we're going to be putting on our roof up there. We'll have to drill a hole. I got the harness wires running to there from the previous third brake light from the cat eye chassis. And these guys will probably just mount somewhere near the factory tail light bracket. Really excited for these. These are going to look super sick. So I'm excited to get those on. But yeah, guys, so that's going to be our lighting for the truck. Start getting some of this on. We have our test probe out. We have the key on the truck, so I'm just over here at my harness for my headlights and whatnot, all this mess. Right here is my low beam for the headlights. So it's just 2 wires, so one's a ground, one's a hot. So I'm just figuring out which one's a hot and which one's a ground. So this guy right here, this green wire, is going to be the hot, and this guy over here is our ground. We're going to take these 2 guys and we're going to chop them and splice them onto our new pigtail for our H4 headlights. And then over here we have our high beams. We're going to take that guy too and attach it to our pigtail as well. That way we'll have high beam and low beam. She's working. I believe that's low beam right now. So we got our low beams and our high beams. So we'll have to do some adjustments on the headlights, but we have headlights. Alright guys, we got our chrome bezels in. I just finished back probing this harness right here for our taillights. So I got everything written down right here, what everything does. Yeah, get these guys mounted back here. We'll worry about the third brake light later. I'll probably be using one of these connectors right here for the taillight. The first step is to get these guys mounted. Before we start mounting these guys, I'm just going to give you a little preview on what these lights actually do. So I believe that's the running light, brake light, an amber strobe. So our reverse lights, license plate light. We got our lights mounted. Got Loctite on all the bolts. Don't want those guys to fall off. This has enough length to pretty much reach our factory harness right here. What I might do is just make my own pigtail right here at this connector and divide them out for this tail light and for this tail light. So we just got to cut these guys and put some connectors on. Alright guys, so this harness is done. I'm gonna hop over to this other brake light right here, and then we'll chop this guy up, split this into two little harnesses for each tail light. How you like the lights, bro? Yeah, look good, huh, dude? Hell yeah. Alright guys, we got these taillights done, so now we're gonna be working on our third taillight. I'm gonna try to find center of the truck. There's not much to go off of on the outside because everything's just so rounded, but I know this is centered to the center of the truck. Maybe just drill a hole right in the center, and that'll allow us to run our wire through the center of it. Here's our game plan. So we have this bracket on the backside, and so we have our little rain channel right here, and I'm gonna go on the bottom of the rain channel right here like this. I gotta grind back this bracket a little bit and make it a little flusher to the cab. Have that guy go under it. I'm gonna drill some holes in the channel right here, and then we'll run our bolts through. So that way we're not drilling into the cab to mount the bolts. I'm gonna drill a hole center on the cab from the inside, so I know exactly where center is on the outside, so I can square up my light, and then we'll run our wires through that center hole. And I will grab a drill bit exactly this size. I have my micrometer out, so we don't have any excess gappage in our hole. All right, guys, we have all three lights mounted. We just got our third brake light mounted up there. So we have Loctite on everything. We got our hole drilled, nice and tight holes. I have this whole connector on the third brake light connected, and I'm just working on this one right now. I have the brake attached and I have a ground attached. This guy right here, I'm hooking up over here. I de-pin the wire from the fuse block. I'm just gonna find that wire in this harness somewhere, and I'm gonna tie it to this wire right here, and it's a key on. That'll run our running lights. So whenever we hit our key on, we'll have 12 volts running to that wire. Before, that orange wire was just hot all the time, and then we just have to finish pinning one other wire for our cargo light. All right, guys, we got our tail lights all working. Our runners work, our brake lights work, our reverse lights work. I have my cab light hooked up on a switch. I just ran this little button switch right here for my cargo light. It turns on this light right here to shine into the bed when it's nighttime. It looks super sick. I love the way it turned out. But now we have blinkers, all the good stuff. From the side, they look pretty cool too. They have these little heat dissipators right here. Looks pretty dope. Our headlights, nice and bright. So our next thing, we're gonna hop over to our grill. So first of all, we're gonna get this thing cleaned up and painted. We're gonna get this inside right here, this guy that's white. We're gonna paint it the same color as our wheels, which is like that copper bronze. And we're gonna be putting these yellow white combo light on the inside of the grill right here. And then we'll be putting those guys on a switch so we can have extra lighting in the front. Can't just have all the cool stuff in the rear. But yeah, so that's our next step, guys. Gotta get this white kind of cleaned up, scuffed up, and tape all the chrome off and painted. And then we'll install these two lights up here. We got our holes for our lights drilled in our grill, getting those guys in before we paint it. So everything's taped off, scuffed up. So now we can take those lights out and clean her up a little bit and give her a fresh coat of paint. And then we'll put these lights back in and get the grill installed and hook up our lights. Alright guys, we got our grill painted up. Get some of these bolts in to hold the grill in. Alright guys, I got these emblems all cleaned up. So these are our fender emblems right here. And this is our hood emblem. I'm gonna slap the trim pieces on right now. Alright guys, I have this extra cord from the taillight and I have a relay. I'm just gonna tie in to these lights up here with this extra cord. This is really pretty nice cord and it has all these wires in here without it looking like a whole bunch of wires. I'm gonna just find a way to run that through. This light was having some issues, but I'm still gonna wire it up for now just so I can have it wired up for when and if I do get the same lights, but at least the wires will still be there. And then we'll be hooking this relay up to a switch inside the cab. So we ended up going with 2 relays because there's 2 different settings on the light. There's the yellow and then there's the white setting. I have all the wires to the front wired up to the relay harness. Got this guy pulled through. I just need to run this up in the dash and run her to another switch. So I might utilize these 2 holes and just run this same style switch right here. Just put all the lighting stuff right here in this corner. These switches aren't gonna be permanent either. These are just little temporary switches. All right guys, I pulled this switch out right here that was for our cargo light. I'm gonna just tap into this to feed these other 2 switches. Guys, we got our switches all mounted. Put our cargo light back in. This is our white light. Our bottom one, this is gonna be our yellow lights. So these guys are mounted and working. The only thing that's not working is the yellow side of that light. For some reason, we only have 1 yellow light working on that. I'll have to just get maybe that light swapped out, but for now I'm just gonna leave it because I still have the white lights that I could utilize. All right guys, here we have our interior cab light, our original one. So we're gonna try to rebuild this thing, and the switch was broken on this guy, so I'm gonna try to replace it with one of these switches. This guy wired up and put back in. I got some heat shrink on the old wire. It was like a cloth wire, so I didn't want it rubbing on that metal part. Right now I'm going to connect this red wire to our running light wire, which is that orange wire. So I'm just going to de-pin this guy and put this wire with it and put the pin back in. That'll give me power to our cabin light when the key is on. Alright guys, got this guy re-pinned in here. So I'm just going to get this guy mounted, get these wires stuffed in here. Got it all hooked up. It's working. So I'm happy with it. All right, we got our old instrument cluster in. I mean, it's not working, but it's a good cover. Better than a big hole there. So all our lights are working in all the functions except for the driver's side light that went out on us on the yellow side. For now, we're gonna be wrapping up this video. Make sure to continue to watch. We got some more cool stuff coming with this truck. Just the beginning of this build. Make sure to like, hit the subscribe button. We'll see you on that next one. Test that guy out. Lights up the whole cab. Very functionable.